Thank you, thank you. What a mouthful. I've shortened it down. How to take control to gain influence. My name's Daithi Reynolds. I'm from STRATO, and I've been in IT for 25 years, and I hope to share a perspective that I have with you today that will maybe help you kickstart your career in IT. So, to begin with, a long, long time ago, 150 years ago, something special happened. Does anybody know what it was? Something that affects each and every one of you here today. Nobody knows, right? Yes, the typewriter was invented. Well, that's not true. It started to sell in this year. The guys have been working on it for 7 years, trying to tweak it, trying to debug it. You see, the problem they had with the typewriter was that if you typed too fast, the print heads, they would collide. And if the print heads collided, what would happen? Yeah, you talk about no use climbing over or crying over spilt milk. Well, they had spilt ink and spilt paper, and that was a resource back in the day. So they decided to make the typewriter as inefficient, yes, as inefficient as possible, so that the heads wouldn't collide. And then it got sold. And I don't know if you realize it, but the typewriter has only gotten a few updates since then, right? It went digital, it went wireless, and now it's even virtual. But that's it. You still have a QWERTY keyboard. A QWERTY keyboard is a QWERTY keyboard, right? And that it's digital is also of interest to us because we live in a digital age, right? And if you know Latin, like I do, you'll know that digital comes from the Latin word digitus, which literally means fingers. So it's not without a big surprise that, that your fingers are the best interface with your computer. So, but the big problem is wetware. Yeah, that was the reason it couldn't be changed either. Wetware. Yeah, 10,000 hours. If you want to become good, proficient in anything, apparently you need to invest 10,000 hours. But the 10,000 hours is really important. I went on a business trip last week, and I was stuck in the train, and I was sitting and typing. And I noticed how many people took out their laptops, and they would be typing, looking down at the keyboard, typing, looking down at the keyboard, getting the mouse. And it seemed like it was a bit too much. They were using too many tools. They couldn't keep their focus. And I had a friend, and he mentioned this. He said he had 10,000 hours, Daithi. No matter what you do, you will become proficient. But is that really learning to type? You really need to invest the time in it to do it. And if you do, it will have benefits for you, benefits that you probably don't know about already. You see, I studied computer science, but then I went on to cognitive science, and I became fascinated with the brain. And here we have the motor cortex, and if you type, you will mobilize your motor cortex. And if you're talking and thinking at the same time, you will start to trigger Wernicke's area, and you'll start to trigger, I've forgotten the other one, Broca's area, and they're the language centers of the brain. And motor cortex is a very important concept because that controls everything we do. In fact, if you were to try to embody the motor cortex, you'd get something like this. No, he didn't go to the gym. He didn't work out his hands, no? Another name for him is the homunculus, yeah, or homunculus. And this is a representation of a normal person's motor cortex. And there's no doubt. You can see he has a big mouth, so he can taste. He has big hands, so he can manipulate tools. A big mouth, so he can talk and communicate. And most of our neurons are there, in that. And you won't find any studies that saying that typing a keyboard will make you more intelligent. No. But if you go into the area of music, you'll see that, well, piano companies at least, they invest in experiments. And here, there is a trend that, I know intelligence is an overloaded word these days, and it's a very fluid concept, but it will increase your memory. It will make you sharper. And this is how I was as a computer scientist and as a cognitive scientist. I could type and the world was happy. But I realized that was only half the story. And something momentous had to happen. No, it wasn't moving to Germany. It was actually starting in Strato and working on a team and using version control. What happened? Yeah, Git happens. I had to commit something, and once I committed my work so a colleague could review it, I landed in Vim. Does anybody know here what Vim is? Very good, we have a few. It's an editor, and I see smiling faces everywhere, because when you land in Vim, you are like a fish out of water. Because the bindings, the keyboard bindings, have different meanings. Because they're not just optimized for letters, they're optimized for movement. But you have to switch. You have to go between two different modes, between insert mode and command mode. And you either sink or swim. I decided to swim, and I encourage you to too. And it had interesting side effects for me as well. I realized that when you code or when you write, no matter what you do with text, you want to convey something concisely and clearly. And the more you can do that, the less gibberish and the more focus, the more cognitive load you reduce from the people that are reading it. And that is an important thing. If you're a CAO writing an email, if you can get it down to a few sentences of clear, concise text, wow, you save so much time and so much energy from all your employees. And I used Vim, I used Emacs, and this has enabled me to be much more productive, but also much happier. And that is the question. Why would I be happier? I honestly don't understand it, but we'll try to explore it. So this idea of reducing text isn't new. Here's a quote from way, way before typewriters were invented. Does anybody know who quoted that? No? It was a very famous German polymath. His name was Goethe. You might have heard of him. But I won't translate it because an English author came along about 50 years later, and he said the same thing. Yeah. So there is something to this about condensing it. It's not something that's going to go away. It's going to stay with us. And to give you an idea of what this focus is like, if you look at the cursor in the middle, yeah, it gives you focus. You don't have to worry about the mouse, yeah? And you can move it to the start of a sentence, yeah? It gives you a bit of control. You can move to the end. By the way, you're mobilizing the hippocampus now. That's a deep structure in the brain, yeah? We have motor, we have language, and now we have movement. Maybe that's why I was happy, huh? But it gives a bit of freedom. I can't describe it. Once you've mastered an editor, you will know the freedom that I mean. And it goes up and up. You can only get better and better. It's not something that stops. So, yeah, neurons that fire together, wire together. I will come back to this concept in a second. So, yeah, a little tweak. The keyboard's not going to go, but you can get your caps lock button. And you can remap that to the control button. And then you can start using key combinations, and then you can, yeah, you can surf all around your text areas in Safari, in Chrome, in your editor, in your web browser, wherever. It's a bit like sometimes you have to bend down to jump higher, and that's exactly the case here. So hocus focus. Well, like I said, it is magical, and you get more focus, but there is a cost to that. The biggest cost for me is that if you really want to frustrate me, you need to just give me a mobile phone and ask me to type with my thumbs. Endless hours of frustration. So give me a keyboard any day. So this focus though does come at another cost as well. Your eyes. Your eyes will no longer be looking down and looking up. They'll be focused on a monitor, and that monitor will be held about arm's length away from you, and you'll be doing that for 8 hours, 5 days a week, 40 hours. It's not good. And if you're like me, you'll begin to think that you're losing your eyesight, and then everybody will unfortunately agree with you and say, yeah, you're getting old. But the truth is the muscles in your eyes are getting strained because they're focusing at the same thing the whole time. So to counterbalance that, every 20 minutes, look up from your display and focus on something that's 20 meters away from you for about 20 seconds. And this is important. This is an important concept. So, my story went on, I didn't get repetitive strain injury only in my eyes. I got it in my arm and in my buttocks. And it's not a nice thing. I don't know if anybody has that here. No? One? Yeah, it's not a nice thought. Imagine having a toothache, and then imagine that in your shoulder or in your jaw. It's not nice. And this forced me to re-examine the chair. Yeah, the chair isn't going to go away either. Yeah, we had the keyboard, now we have the chair, and truth be known, the chairs that you guys are sitting in now, if you went back 1,000 years ago, they would be thrones. You would be kings, you would be emperors, because these are fancy things. And we all get educated to use the chair, yeah? The real start is when you go to school, when poor little kids have to sit down for hours on end and listen to a teacher. It's not good. But the IT industry has evolved, and they realize that, yeah, sitting is the new smoking. And yeah, we have standing desks. So stand up to a sitting world. It's a book. Read it. It'll tell you all about how to take care of yourself, yeah, by using a standing desk. And the sky's the limit here, but I won't go into that. But one thing that it is no mentioning is that just like with your keyboard, you have a home position, you have the J and the H button. That's where you can anchor yourself at home. When you stand, it's important as well to realize that there is a position that is optimal for you. And I'm going to show you this position shortly now. It's a home position. So yeah, I'll show you. So first of all, you got to point your feet in and clench your buttocks. And you'll feel a bit of tension in your legs. And then clench your belly. And then you put both your arms. Obviously, I can't do it because I have the microphone out. You can look at them if you wish. And then you drop your arm down. And when you first do it, you will feel a kind of an odd sensation because your muscles will be in a different position. But that is the home position. And you'll notice one important thing is that my ear is aligned with my shoulder. It's not like this. And it's always important to come back to that. Like I said, we can tie this on to the 20-20. Every 20 minutes do it. But I don't want you to stand. You shouldn't stand. You shouldn't stand all day long. Some people do, but the real rule of thumb here is that the next position is the best position. Yeah? Keep varying it. Yeah? If you want to have a metaphor, think of a bicycle. Yeah? Most people think they're sitting down in the car when they start to program or to interface with the computer. But the bicycle is a much better metaphor because on the bicycle you can stand, you can sit, you can walk it. But there's many possibilities, and that's the way your workstation should be too. So, I've been talking about IT, and I've been just talking about me, right? It's been kind of egocentric. And yeah, things changed. And I became an OKR master. And I started asking the question, what is the I in IT? And so far, we've been focusing about the I, you know? We've been talking about how you can master your editor and how you can re-edit and re-edit and re-edit till you get a crystal. And we talked about the focus that comes with that. But in the end of the day, you were always in your domain of control. Yeah? You were under control. But when you work in a company, no matter how big or small it is, as Bob Dylan said, you got to serve somebody. And it may be the devil, or it may be the Lord, but you got to serve somebody. So, and this, I started to ask different questions. I started to see things a bit different. Just like when I transitioned from inputting text to editing text, I started to see the organization a bit different too. Now, what is the T in IT? Is it for technology? Is it for tools? We have a lot of tools. Is it for T-shaped people? That is the question. There's a lot of T's out there. But one thing that I realize is that the organigram, which has been there since the Persian Empire, last I checked, is also not going to go away. Just like the keyboard, just like the chair. And we all have to work in a team. And we use Scrum, we use Agile, and this is a way for developers or people to sync their wetware, so you produce good software. And you get people, instead of neurons firing together, and they wire together. And by doing all this, you create transparency. But for me, the big shift was that I was always focusing on my direct report. I knew there was a customer. Everybody knows there's a customer. But the focus was on the direct report. The focus was on the CEO. And I just saw it to the top of the organigram. And if you see, there's a little blue line going across. And if you look at it, it's also called the iceberg model. And the reason is because everybody on the top can see what's going to happen. They can see the vision. They can work with strategy. And they make all the plans. It's a bit like, you're going to laugh now, it's a bit like what we had earlier with the homunculus. Yeah? There's input and there's output. And this was my version. This is how I really saw the world. And it changed because now we just didn't have the small I in IT. We had the big I. And I was wondering, what is that? Is that like a closed system? Yeah? Where we produce outputs, where we produce, where we use the car metaphor, where we're on a production line and we're trying to churn out as much as we can. And I realized it wasn't. I realized that in such cases, you're still in the domain of control, but you want to move on into the domain of influence. And this is where the T in IT, the big T, the scaled T in IT. And yeah, you could say it's tools, that for a big organization, you need bigger tools. And it turns out there is a tool, but just like the keyboard, it takes way more than 10,000 hours to learn. And like with the keyboard, you'll start and you'll stop. You'll get motivated and demotivated. You won't get an ROI straight away because it's a long-term investment. And it looks something like this. And my shifted from looking to the organigram to looking at the culture of a company and what that means. Yeah? And then just like I transitioned from producing text to editing text, I started to see, wow, you can change your culture. You can edit it. You can get clear ideas. And the idea here was that how teams could come together, teams that fire together, wire together. And the magic dust of the OKR framework, it was strategy, sharing strategy, because everybody believed that they could change something. This is an important concept. And then, just like with the editor, one becomes freer and has more degrees of freedom. Once you feel strategy, you're motivated. You wake up and go, yes, I'm here. I'm not just here to serve my direct report. I'm here to serve the customer, but you feel it at a different level. And as you can see, in the end of the day, it's our customers that we're trying to enable. And it's our customers that we're trying to help achieve their goals. And the strategy is what really, really helped me to get really motivated and really excited. And since we're here at a conference, and I know a lot of you want to start your journey into IT, my question to you is what motivates you? What makes you passionate, yeah? Do you have a strategy? Do you have a vision? And as for me, well, I work for STRATO. My name is Daithi Reynolds, and we enable digital uniqueness. Thank you.
I'm coming. Thank you so much. It was such a good presentation. Does anyone have any question? You can also ask in German and we'll translate. Anyone? Oh, there's a question.
She'll be with you in a second.
Hi, my name is Alina and I'm QA engineer. Junior QA engineer.
Okay.
And really like your shoes.
Thank you.
So, where did you get that?
Online.
And how is it helping you to work? Is it connected to your work or not? Is it connected to your work?
Well, in work there's a really cool guy, and he walks around barefoot. And I'll be honest, in work I walk around barefoot too. I love it. And we saw the homunculus earlier on, and you saw that his hands were totally big. And if you walk around barefoot, you will see that the feet get very big too. And I love it. I love it, and it's freedom for me.
So as a junior QA engineer, I noticed that my back is hurts after 2 years of working, and my feet are hurts, and my butt hurts.
Oh no.
So the shoulders and elbows, as I was the yoga instructor before, and I started noticing that everybody has these backs on the working space, and there is not much that we can do about it in many companies. We have standing tables, but most of the people not using them, unfortunately. And they are not noticing in which position they are working, and then they have a problems with the back as me now.
It's a long process, and I managed to get the ITCS pain away in the hip. I'm still working on the neck here, but I do know if you go back, if you really 20 minutes, every 20 minutes, change your position, it will help. And you're right, most companies these days, they do have standing desks, but nobody really knows how to use them. I mentioned the book. It's called Desk Bound, Standing Up to a Sitting World. And in that book, you'll find exactly how to use a standing desk, but also how you can mobilize all the muscles around your body that you can last longer, and so that the pain will eventually dissipate. But in the end of the day, you're on your own. You can go to a chiropractor, you can go to a physiotherapist, and they will do quick fixes. But in the end of the day, everybody here, you have to pay attention to your posture. And I showed you the basic position, the home position. And if you go back to that, and if you use that as your anchor, you'll find that it is a lot easier.
Thank
After
you.
a while. Yeah, no problem.
Another question. There.
Hello, hi. Thank you very much. It was very interesting and very topics which you have covered. Actually, several themes which were gave me some insights.
Thank you.
But my question is about your last part related to strategy and vision and motivation.
Strategy,
Vision and motivation.
Yeah.
You said that understanding strategy helps you and motivates you to work and to do your work better.
Yeah.
But okay, it's you who understand it. But how how to motivate every team member? How to make every team member work to work for this strategy?
Yeah, well, you used the word make, and you asked how you can make every team member motivated by the strategy. And the thing about OKRs is it's not about extrinsic motivation. It's not about holding a carrot in front of someone and trying to get them to move. It's about intrinsic motivation. And that's why I asked the question in the end. If your own motivation, if your own vision, isn't aligned with that of the company's, then you have to ask yourself the question, why am I here? But another very closely linked topic that we haven't broached is culture. And culture, I think, is what you're talking about there. And if the culture is right, then obviously everybody will get brought in together. But there is a balance. There is a precipice that needs to be jumped. Yeah? And at the start, you'll have people that don't want to go with it. But then mass accumulates and accumulates, and eventually you have more people, breaching the void, and eventually you get buy-in, and everybody sees it too. But it's not about not wanting to. I think a problem a lot of the time is with, like me, I just didn't see it. My vision was focused on the top, on the C-suite, and I didn't see everything that comes beyond that, and that could be a change too. I wish you all the best and success in the future. Thank you.